We're good to go.
All right. Well, it's my pleasure today to welcome Jean Santiago-Holt, who is our graduate college seminar speaker for, Cindy, is it our last seminar of
No,
this
one more in December. One more in
Our
December, then we're
penultimate.
done.
Okay, our penultimate graduate college seminar of the semester. He will be speaking, I think, although maybe doing some other things, on noise performance in the digital. And Jean, I did look at the YouTube interview with you, so I'm excited. I'm excited about this. So Jean is a multimedia artist from Philadelphia. He's presented his work internationally. He works with sound and paper mache and also digital art. And I'm looking forward to learning more about this. So welcome, Jean.
Thank you. Can everyone hear me? Okay, good. Yeah, thank you everyone who's coming out today. I really appreciate it. Thank you for looking up me before. Sometimes we need some more content with it as well, but I kind of want to jump into here. This will be 30 minutes long, and if anyone, feel free to put some questions in the chat, so we have some questions at the end. So I'm going to share my screen, and we'll most likely have a guest speaker of my cat you'll see here. So my name is Jean Anthony Santiago-Holt, and this little talk I'm doing is about noise performance in the digital. I guess a little content about myself. I'm from Philadelphia. I was born and raised here. That's where I'm at right now, and I'm mixed race as well. I'm a Puerto Rican and European descent, and that puts a role in my performance, my noise work, and my digital work. I hope everyone likes this first slide. It's kind of cheesy. I really enjoy doing these in the beginning and putting some of my GIF work in there, and kind of give you the feeling of what you're in store for this 30 minutes. But what is noise? Most of y'all probably don't know what noise is. It's the type of music, it's a type of performance. So I gave this little definition that I grabbed online. Noise is a genre of music that's categorized by the expressive use of sound without the demand to follow traditional music rules. And it's harsh, it's in your face, it's aggressive. This type of music tends to challenge the distinction made between conventional music practices, between musical and non-musical sounds. Noise music includes a wide range of musical styles and sound-based creative practices that feature noise as a primary aspect, which is, it could sound like machinery. You could use machinery in it, or it has some sort of beat, and I'm somewhere in between. But how do I view sound? This took me too many years to kind of figure this out on my own, but I split noise into two sections. It's sonic noise and visual noise. So the sonic noise part is music, sound, and auditory. And then visual noise, so it's using your eyes, chaotic visual art that deals with most or all of the senses. That's how I kind of break it down for me. But since I'm a visual artist and a sound artist and kind of using both, the language is also visual as well. So I put this together, and I'm trying to combine the visual and the auditory together. And I always want to use the platform that I'm using. In this case, it's a presentation. So I have a track that we can listen to for a minute, and it kind of gives you some of the themes I work with. So it's loud, it's pretty aggressive. I come from punk and hardcore and death metal. So I always want to bring that into, in this case, an academic environment. So I'm just going to play this track. And if anyone has questions, please put in the chat whenever you want to, and I'll play a minute of this. Wait, let's see. It is not playing right now, and it's most likely because I have my headphones in. So let me deal with that 1 second. No one else can hear it, right? Is that correct? Okay, so let me stop share for 1 sec, and I'm going to take my headphones out, and I'll disable Bluetooth on my end. Sorry about that.
Everyone hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, I'm going to start over with this part, and let's see.
1951 is a bonanza year for Puerto Rico sugar. A helicopter makes an inspection trip over one of the great centrales, where 150 workers cut acres of cane, and the copter tosses the stalks into the air with the backwash of its floaters. An army of 137,000 experts harvest the cane with razor-sharp machete. One stroke is all they ever need. A miss amounts to a minor crime. A good portion of the $150 million crop goes toward their wages. Caribbean sun and ample rain pour forth their sweet bounty. It takes 10.5 million tons of cane to produce this year's record crop of 1,300,000 tons of sugar, which the refineries pour out. Most of it for the American market. 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 Most of it for the American market.
So that's just a little piece of what I do. I'm only going to give you a minute for that, but I'm with that sound. I am outsourcing or found a sound that relates to Puerto Rico, and that's like kind of like the recent sounds I've been working on. And let me. Okay, let me move everyone because this is in my way. So I am part of a noise collective called the Kitsch Magic Collective. We've been playing out recently after the pandemic. So this is at the Newark Bike Project, which is super close to campus. I played there before, and this is kind of working with other people, which I'm usually a solo act. Some of us are from DC and from Philadelphia and different parts of it, like so like Lancaster, Philadelphia, and then Washington, DC. And kind of we grow and dissipate whenever, we're open to new members or like whenever members leave. But whenever we can get together, we put on these noise shows or a part of it. This one is a interesting array of characters. My one colleague, Matt, is there, and he everyone was like, "Oh, we missed your set, we're sorry." Like, no, I was playing, I was just on the laptop making sound, and he looked like he was just at like a internet cafe. And then we have my friend over here, he goes under the name Cemetery Bastard, and he's wearing a gas mask, something like kind of like a industrial music. It's very typical. And then it's just me in my my camo, my ironic camo with a Puerto Rican flag around my neck, just kind of like screaming in the microphone. But I move around. Sometimes I shove people, I push people, I forward roll. I'm a martial artist as well, so if I try to blend that also. So kind of like rolling into people, kind of getting in their face, screaming. At a safe distance, I kind of like try to contain myself as much as possible. But this is kind of something that I kind of enjoy, the confrontational aspect of noise. And I always try to put that into performances whenever I'm able to play out. But during the pandemic, I had a chance to play at another gallery in Philadelphia called Grizzly with the collective, and I was able to do some live streaming events, which kind of turned my work into like a different aspect of kind of like putting it online even more and using the online platform, kind of like Zoom. Sometimes I would play in Zoom and then put it on YouTube later, but this is like through OBS software. So there's a push and pull with technology and how much you can push the sound. And I wanted to play a minute of this for everyone as well to kind of see how different the sound can be and like how the visuals react to that. So in this clip, we're dealing with visual noise and as well as audio noise and trying to combine those together. Even in my background in Zoom, kind of like what I have behind me is a past performance from Grizzly Grizzly. If you look up Grizzly Grizzly on Google and go in map searches, you will find this image in the background, and they're kind of like stuck with it at this point, kind of using online platforms and kind of instead of like I view it as like graffiti in a way. It's like a digital graffiti you can't really get away from. So I'm also like using like online platforms is something I'm also interested in. That's when it gets into the digital. Especially when we put these like still performances, I like to call them. This is like one of my last performances at University of Delaware. Still working with the digital. Everyone's like, oh, this is a blurry, crappy photo. This is purposely done. I use old technology, either like VHS recorders, in this case, an old early 2000s handheld device. And I had one of my colleagues kind of like record this performance. This is kind of goes into my background. I'm wearing all white because it relates to Santeria. And it's from my grandmother practiced Santeria, so that's also an influence on me of these Caribbean religions that I'm trying to connect to, and I guess more of an insight is meeting my family through an online platform, and the only way we kind of like connect with each other because there's a language barrier is through digital platforms. And how it translates. How do you have a relationship with someone through the digital? And I wanted to show a little bit of that performance of how how I move around at certain instances. Like I said, the other video, how it's kind of like a little bit more planned out. I was wearing a costume, a mask, kind of like we were wearing matching shirts. This one, I'm wearing all white. If you know who I am, I'm always wearing black. I'm always, usually this semester, I'm wearing a hat, almost like incognito mode in real life. But I wanted to show this one. And some of y'all might be familiar with this and how I kind of move myself. I guess, oops, let me wait one. Okay. For the last video, it's like these are like a tax process. And when I do a performance, my whole day kind of dictates how the performance goes. So if I get to a place early and I sometimes become lethargic, or if I'm very energetic, then I'm like kind of jumping off the walls. But I realize I have to put myself in a historical context as well. And one of my favorite artists is Paul McCarthy, not McCartney, the Beatle, and specifically his performances that deal with drawing, deal with action painting. And this is like from his A&E sessions with Lilith Strandsberg, and he is supposed to dress like, this is like a reaction against fascism. So he's dressed like Adolf Hitler. I believe her name's Edith. You can't really find these videos anywhere. There's like an interview of them together, but they're just like mumbling to each other, kind of naked, and just like drawing on this like big piece of paper. And the background, it's like kind of mundane. It's aggressive. It's an action that's like kind of repulsive, and this is a big influence on me. And this is like another during the summer, like when after the pandemic, this kind of like a newer thing. So my collective was able to play at the Hotbed Gallery in Philly. So like bringing what I do into the gallery, and for me that's part of like it validates and puts me in the context of like, this is art. This is more than just music. This is more than just like it's bringing an alternative into these spaces that I believe that it belongs to. And then this is my my buddy, he goes by Dilrith, wearing that handmade mask, but also wearing like a metal t-shirt, and then like kind of watching it's like a collective working with another collective to do this performance. And we had so much technical difficulties with this, which is part of performance and sound, but like it's not the best sound in the world. It's not what we like. I enjoy it, but even to like you're like, oh, there's people playing things wrong. Even to my colleagues in noise, you're like, oh, that sounds like crap, and I'm like, oh, I love that. Like even to them, there's like a wrongness to it, and I question them as well. Like, why do you think this is wrong?
Hey, Jean, I think some of us are having issues with the audio. It's very low.
It's very low. Yeah, I noticed
Yeah.
that as well. Let's see if I can. This audio, I know the video audio as well as is low as well. Let me see if I can kind of change that. Oops. Let's see if maybe it was on my part. Let's present. Does this sound better?
Jean, someone said, go to your settings and set audio to high fidelity mode.
It's probably Sebastian. If he's in here, he probably said that to me.
Yeah, with Sebastian. Yeah.
Let me see. All right, I am messing this. Let's see. It might be fine for this. Is probably the last video. I'm so sorry about the sound issues. I will link all the videos below, but this is actually the maybe one of the last videos, and I kind of want to keep on going because I have roughly like 5 minutes left. So if you can bear with me with some of the technical difficulties, I'm going to keep on going. have another video. So let's see. The sound, we don't need the sound for this one. It's more about the visual aspect of it. More historical contents for myself with another noise group. They're called the Haters. They've been together since like the 60s. Big influence on some of my colleagues and myself. It kind of it's bringing contemporary art or conceptual art into the sound realm. So I would like to play this video. It's like a minute long. I think they're great. After seeing like kind of discovering this act, I just thought like I need to. I've been going to the wrong noise shows where I've just been like all my life. I want to do this. I want to bring this forward into galleries. Usually you can just tell like there's an audience, so like mostly at like a musical venue, but it's kind of like a hard pill to swallow for like a. And just imagine like a prog rock band playing after them, and they're just like, what is going on with the show? I wanted to talk about some of my installations that deal with the digital. This is also at Grizzly. This is my October show. And it's dealing with some of my videos, some of the platforms being used. There's like old iPhone phones playing the GIFs that you'd seen in the beginning. And this is like a more directly towards like my Puerto Rican heritage, and also like a kind of like the spiritualism and other pre-Columbian Columbus religions that I'm exploring. There's like paper mache masks in here that are from past performances. In the middle video, it's a past screen test that I did for a character, and all of these things around it are kind of like based or like friends, how I put it, of this one character. This kind of finding objects. There's like some urns in here, so like definitely dealing with death, the memorial. And sometimes when I view the sound, it's like a funeral music, kind of like an up close of this paper mache head that I painted and drawn on top of. You can kind of see the urn on the side. There's like a can of multiple urns and some family photos. Some of them are like there's dead relatives in there. And there's like some of people still alive with these grotesque kind of figures on top of them. If you kind of see here, still dealing with the digital. It's the digital and the physical, and kind of back again in this photograph that all of y'all are seeing. So like a kind of pushing and pulling a little bit. I don't mind that sometimes the photos get grainy or kind of like a quote bad. Another still shot of this puppet doll, also made out of paper mache. I just kind of like want to show these and kind of seeing these electronics engulfed with these objects that I made. I'll show like a little second of this video. We don't need the sound. This kind of goes into like other artists that I look at, but I wanted to show that middle video for a second as a performance. I wanted to name the name of this is Dr. Birdie Big trying on a hat while doom noise reflects neighborhood compression. During this time, I kind of emerged from my house and kind of walk into my residency I had at Grizzly, and kind of dealing with how Philly is changing and how rich people are moving in and kind of like pushing out family members from North Philly and kind of like displacing all of these people that were there before and kind of like racking up the prices. And this character kind of just like sitting here, kind of like twiddling, kind of waiting for it to happen. Want to show the mask by itself. I mostly make these masks, what I've kind of been doing the last couple months. Kind of like want to put that in there as like a performance object. And I view these gifts as replacement of my physical body, replacement of like, I view this as a performance that keeps on going. So this is like this is me in one of my costumes with like some of the things I've made, and I just like I view these as replacements. It's an ongoing performance that never stops, in a GIF form, and it's like it's exaggerating. It's the photograph. You can see kind of the glitch that happens of like from Photoshop and the compression, all things that I enjoy, and then kind of bad Photoshop right here. It's like, did someone just go into MS Paint? Did I go into MS Paint just do that? I was like, probably I did. No, it's Photoshop, but yeah, these are just extensions, an ongoing state of myself that will constantly get bigger and deflate until the internet shuts down. Another the same mask I'm wearing. I kind of want to, I'm going to skip this one. It's like just another performance like the other of kind of like my screen tests I've been doing. But I wanted to kind of like show you like who I'm like looking at as well. Joseph Boys, how they explain a picture to a dead hair. It's like something I've been looking at for a while. If you don't know who Joseph Boys is, he's a Fluxus artist that did these performances. In this one, he's literally talking to a dead animal with this gold leaf on his face. I'll play this video for a second. It is, for me, it reflects kind of like I'm trying to mimic that when I'm holding that paper mache. Some of the paper mache objects when I'm doing my screen tests. A still from this image. It's just kind of mimics that mimics me holding an object, and it's just been popping up in my screen test performances that I kind of like do before I do an action with the character. And with the screen test, I'm also looking at Andy Warhol. This one's of Lou Reed. And then there's a bunch of different ones. One with Marcel Duchamp. This Lou Reed video I like because when he drinks the Coca-Cola, I kind of enjoy that. And also Lou Reed made a noise album and kind of like it was a big influence kind of finding Metal Machine music. That's the name of the album that I'm talking about. And for some reason, I couldn't find a video without sound, and I don't know, it defeats the purpose. Defeats the purpose because there wasn't sound for Andy Warhol's original, and then when these go online, like I need to, like, for some reason people want to put the sound on there. They need to gravitate towards something, which I do understand, but they're silent. This is the Delaware Contemporary. This is the other installation that I posted up, still dealing with the digital. This is like kind of like a proto of what I'm doing now. It's gonna like show, throw that in there. I actually want to get to some questions because I know we're kind of over. It's a 2:34, so I'm actually going to open up and look at some of these questions. Or if,
Yeah, Gene, so far we have, can you speak a bit to how or if you explore dynamic range in your noise work?
The dynamic range with the noise work. So sometimes it could be one monolithic sound that goes on for an hour with no vocals, and that's just kind of like for me, that's an adornance piece. I know it's something I would enjoy, but I kind of like if that was in a gallery, just like one sound coming at you for like for how long you're in there. It's kind of alienating. But recently, I'm working with different type of beats, different types of Caribbean music, and something that the listener can gravitate towards a little bit. And then I just go in there with like those harsh vocals, or just like harsher sounds. So there's like a beat version, and then there's like a kind of like straight up just like assault of sound for the viewer. And then there's like very quiet aspects as well, which I usually don't show. It's good. That's called lowercase music, and that's just like amplifying like a very mundane objects. Like say if you're flipping through a book and you record that sound as a field recording, and then you kind of like amplify that sound so you can still kind of hear the pages, but it's like kind of very overloaded. Hopefully that answers your question, but that there's like a different aspect. It could get very ambient, or it could get very loud and aggressive. I tend to be more on like the aggressive side, just because of some of the subject matter that I'm dealing with. But I have done a wider range of sounds, but mostly like who's familiar with me know what spectrum I'm on.
Feel free to just ask a question. You don't have to put it in the chat. Oh, never mind. Hold on. I got one in the chat. Given your focus on sounds, have you gotten any feedback from people who are deaf or hard of hearing about how they interpret your work?
I haven't gotten that. I haven't ran into anyone like that into like where I perform. That would be really interesting if they have like a bodily feeling. I guess that goes with amplification and what type of equipment you have. So if you have like an amplifier that gives off a frequency, or the amplifier is big enough, you're actually, and if it's like a very bass sounding, you'll feel that in your body. Usually when I'm performing, I guess with like I guess the technique of vocals that I do, sometimes it's hard, like something happens, like it's like I block out the sound, so sometimes I can't hear, and it's not this, that's not from amplification being too loud. That's just like kind of I don't know, I can't explain that. It's just kind of I guess it's like the reverb of my voice. Something's happened with my body, I don't know, that I displace the sound myself.
So Tony, it's Abby. How are you? I was wondering, because I mean, I think it's so fascinating that, you know, the conventions of Zoom like basically erased your sound on the video clips, right? Because the compression that they want for like what is appropriate for a meeting is like, this sound is not appropriate, so it just is gone, right? And I think it's interesting to contrast that to the compression in the GIFs and like the compression that you're talking about, where actually compression is almost at the same time that it's about degradation, it's also additive in a way. And I was wondering just about your, I would just like to hear you speak a little bit more about compression and sort of your definition of it. And because it seems like that's also a socio-political situation. I mean, I think compression can be taken in so many ways, and it seems like a lot of the work deals with compression, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it totally does. That's a really good, yeah, I love that question. So I guess I view it, and when I first heard that question, it made me think of like when I can't do sound in the gallery, how when I make these objects, is for me to get into these institutes or like different places, and then I kind of like, I'm a noise artist, let me get let me do this in your space, and either it's like yes or no. So it's, in a way, it's a kind of not letting a part of myself into the gallery. That's like one sort of compression that that I feel, or even like with like the Zoom not handling it, like it's like the message gets like muted or muddled, and then that relates to like how Puerto Rico has been treated in the U.S. Because we are like a displaced people. And we all come in different colors, and that's like a big issue. And even with like with like people that are mixed race, that I view that as some sort of compression, because I've met other like Puerto Ricans in Philly. They're like, oh, you're not Puerto Rican, you're too light. Or like on the other end, who's like people who are like Afro-Caribbean, they're like, oh, you're not Puerto Rican because you're too dark. So it's like people who identify as like being Puerto Rican, or anyone from the Caribbean. There's like a weird, it's a race thing that or a colorism that happens of who's light, who's too dark, and being like someone from the Caribbean. That's like there's no stereo, like you shouldn't view anyone there as a stereotype of what they should look like, because we're a wide range of people. So I think that's like a compression as a culture, and a compression of who's allowed to do what because of their color. And I guess like the main thing that I want to kind of get across with this is to bring up those issues, because like I'm the lightest person on my Puerto Rican side, so that's like an interesting thing. And then on my white side of the family, they ignore the Puerto Rican side, like, oh, you're like, let's not talk about that. So it's like I think that relates to the some sort of compression in a way. Hopefully that answered you, Abby.
Yes, thank you. No, I think it is interesting. I mean, to think about the association of that word with like concepts of like cleaning up, or you know, sort of presenting what is deemed appropriate or not, or inappropriate. It's curious. Well, it's more than curious, you know what I mean?
It's also good not knowing, Gene, what you're doing, your research that's unfolding in terms of going to go to collections and sort of to reappropriate, and how you take other found sounds, other found imagery, and that reappropriation and taking back over. And I'm curious in terms of what people might perceive as anger or frustration. I mean, noise gets that, like if you're screaming, you're angry. Can you just talk about like how that functions? Like, is it more release? Is it, I mean, somebody who just casually observes goes, oh, like the guy's screaming. And it doesn't seem, knowing you, I think it's not the case, but how does that function for you?
So like it's definitely a release, but sometimes I view it as an exorcism, or like some sort of speaking in tongues in a way. But that's like that might be like that goes into like demonization, which I'm not that goes into stereotypical of like demonization with that type of things. But it goes back to like videos of Santeria. Of some of the performances, some of the rituals that they do, and then and everyone's like kind of gathered in this room, and this one person either wielding some sort of item, and they're you know, it gets loud, but it's like that's more of a celebration. So like I want people to kind of quite like you know, like it's like when I scream, it's not because I want to be cool, it's because I'm expressing myself. And the more I dig down into my heritage, the more it makes sense that it's like that it relates to a cultural background. It relates to my ancestors. So that's what I kind of like, getting back to my ancestors is like my main, that's my goal as well. Does that, Greg, does that answer you a little bit, or does it bring up?
No, that's good. Just wanted to hear how you would respond to that. That's great. Thanks.
Any other questions? You don't have to type in the chat. You can just speak up.
Well, if there are no further questions, Gina, I'd like to thank you again for coming and sharing your work with us. That was really interesting. And thank you everyone for attending. Enjoy the remainder of your afternoon.
Thanks, Gene.
Thanks, Gene. Thanks, Lou. Thanks, Carol. Thanks, Cindy.
Bye-bye.
Bye.